Hello, I'm Maggie Hammond. I teach on the Complete Creative Writing course, and I've worked as a novelist, a publisher, a journalist, and I'm the author of Creative Writing for Dummies. I'm here to answer some common questions about writing. People always think that writing for children is easy, and it isn't. It's actually the most difficult kind of writing of all. I think this is because you need to understand a little bit about children and the different stages of their development in order to understand what will work well for children. It's important when you write for children to think very specifically about which age group you're writing for. Are you writing for a toddler who's not actually going to read it, but have their mother or father or grandparent read it to them? Pictures are very important for young children, but the writer of a children's book usually has nothing at all to do with the pictures. So it's very important that the words stand on their own and they don't depend on pictures to go with them. The story has to work on its own right. It's also very important to think about the next stage up, which is where children start to read. In order to write for children who are starting to read, you need to understand how children learn to read, and you need to have a very simple vocabulary and simple sentence structure, but you also need to provide something that will provide a little bit of a challenge, so the child is actually learning something and not just reading in the most simple and basic way. That can be a challenge too. If you're going to write for older children, and especially if you're going to write for teenagers, again, you need to know what's appropriate to children's fiction and what isn't. On the whole, sad endings are a no-no unless you're moving into older teenagers. And it's important to realise that children can be very influenced by fiction. So it's important that you have main characters who are good role models and who don't encourage the child to do something that might be dangerous or make them very unhappy. It's also important, if you're writing for young people, to think about what young children like. They like animated objects. They like things that talk. They like things that are a little bit scary but not too scary. They like rhymes. They like rhythm. They like repetition. As children get older, they start to want to explore the environment around them, and you can start telling stories about different places and also imaginary places. As children live a lot in their imagination, they like to read about imaginary places too. It's important in the end that you try out your story on children. They will tell you whether it works or not, and you'll be able to tell if they're bored. And that's how to write for children.